Well, hello, fellow traveler. Centaurian quest incoming. I thought this would be the perfect time to drop deep, yes, to drop deep into the Sagittarian energy. There's something you got your sights set on here. Something that you are very focused on. Something that has you in trance. You made a decision recently. You cut something off, something that had you too bound up for far too long. And now there's this sense of spirited playfulness coming in, reclaiming the spirit of the centaur. We're going to open up with a read that sort of taps into the collective archer energy, since it's so forward right now, especially in the closing of this year and all the grand water trine energy that is flowing through your season. So I thought it would be a nice way for everybody to get acclimated to these waters. And yes, I recognize the lighting I got going on tonight is a bit odd, but when I was tapping into the Sagittarian energy signature, this is what it felt like, you know? It felt like you're in the deep end. It felt like you're cloaked. It felt like you're undercover. It felt like you like it there. You like to be submerged. You like to be submerged in the unknown. You like a sense of secrecy, exclusivity. This is how the energy is coming through. Something that feels intimate, something that feels like it's just for you. It's totally shielded from prying eyes. Yeah, man, you're in a totally different flow here. There's something here that has you enamored. There's something here that for you, it's intoxicating, like the perfume of a rose. There's something here that it's having you move upstream, but at the same time, you're able to do this sort of effortlessly. I don't know. I think whatever this is that you're weaving into being here, it's not something that just anybody could achieve. You have to have a special sort of sight to even be able to find a pathway to bringing this into a state of crystallization. And yet, I feel like you have it firmly in grasp, in your consciousness. This is something that's kind of coming in initially as a visionary sort of energy. It's seeing yourself where you're going to wind up, even though you're not there. And yet there's such a certainty that that's where you're going to be, that it makes what would normally be arduous almost like a playful sort of thing. It's sort of like when setbacks can come your way, or there can be curveballs or challenges that face you. You kind of can shrug your shoulders at them and laugh them off, because you actually know that it's good camouflage. That's how it's coming through. It's good camouflage. It's like you got so much going for yourself. You got so much that you're brewing. There's so much that's percolating right now, but others may kind of like have a false perception if they were just to look at the surface of your life. They don't know what's going on in the deep end. You know, they may see that you're dealing with just like the day-to-day grind sort of things, and maybe having some things to push through here and there. I mean, who doesn't in this climate, in the world we're in today? And yet there's so much that's teeming there. There's so much life that's teeming there. There's a new light that's coming into your eyes, though. I think that people who are able to see can see. They're like, what's stirring there? You might have some people a little curious about you. They're kind of trying to tap the pulse of Sagittarius. That's the energy, tapping the pulse of Sagittarius. When a Sagittarius goes quiet, oh, you know the cogs are turning. Yeah. You know the cogs are turning. It's like On the surface, looks like business as usual. Here we go. Same old stuff, different day. But beneath the surface, it's this, you know, getting a little banged up, getting a little bruised, getting a little rough for the wear, but at the same time, heading towards something that you used to fear. But each time you take a step in this direction, it's like, yeah, man, it's just like lighting you up. You're a bit of a feral nerd right now, and you do have something that like is really enamoring you. That's how it wants to come through, enamored. But you're enamored by it because it's something fresh coming into your consciousness, you know what I mean? It's not something that you can engage with on autopilot. It requires you to take things to a deeper place. It requires you to expand your mind, to look at things in a new way. Sometimes, you know, it can get a little rough. Interesting. Sometimes it can get a little provocative, a little aggravating even, but then when you go deeper, you sink deeper into it, when you encounter the aggravation, and then you're like, whoa, well, look at that. I never knew that was there. It's interesting. It also feels like it's a lot of expansion, but it's also this spiraling inward. And the more deep you go within, the more you want to sink even further into it rather than push the eject button. And it's causing something to stir in you. It's causing something to stir in you. Resilience, endurance, determination, focus, drive, vigor, vigorous drive. Okay, so this is how we're doing it. I'm opening up first with like a theme for the Sagittarian energy. And that's applying to this season that we're currently in, so the collective can kind of tune into this energy, tap into it. And grok, Sagittarius, and grok, the expansive energy, and also the kind of devil-may-care, optimistic, most idealistic energy, and open-minded energy that is Sagittarius when acting out of its life-building force. I was going to say light-building force, but it came through as life-building force. Someone's starting to recognize that the more that they cultivate the light, the more they the more they see signs of life. Somebody may have been more intrigued by the shadows. Somebody may be very comfortable with shadow work, diving really deep into the mystery, diving deep into the unknown. Oh, I understand. There's a lot of mana there. It's very rich, but there's also a lot to be explored, a lot to take in from building the light as well. Somebody's more of a shadow worker. They have never really been a light worker. They're starting to tap into their ability to build the light. It's a whole different kind of depth. It's a whole kind of different depth that actually takes them deeper than they ever experienced going into the shadow. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of sentience around that. It actually brings up a lot of interesting contradictory points within. And that's stimulating. It's stimulating for the consciousness to have such a new experience, to view life, to view alchemy work, okay? To view alchemy work through a totally different lens. It's more challenging. It's more challenging to work with the aspect of building the light. Ooh, yeah, interesting. Yeah, somebody's really going through a transformation here with this. It's aligning them with their true north. They're absolutely working with the energy of the South. So doing a lot of work with fire, transmutation with fire, and also through a bit of that coyote medicine. So this is the trickster energy. It's the way that the unconscious parts of ourselves can become a bit animated and They can lead us on some interesting spirals downward to discover the way that we come into the upward rotation of that complete cycle. But it's a lot of times about having to first experience the rough edge or the cutting edge, or the edge that takes one deeply into hell. You know, I'm calling it hell because people have a misconception of that word, hell. Hell is not some burning place of fire and brimstone and eternal suffering. Hell, the actual translation, if you were really to look at the etymology of the word, it's about being buried underneath the earth. It's about what's underground, okay? So it got attached to a whole mythos around being this place of eternal damnation and suffering. But that's not what it is at all. It's simply a burial ground. Okay? Even Jesus went into Hades. You know what I'm saying? So there's something about this, about looking at contradictory perceptions and blending what seem like opposites to understand how powerful words are and the meanings that people attach to certain things, also to certain beliefs, ideals, and understanding how there's this sort of like dissolution point in between, and that's where the absolute truth resides. And the absolute truth tends to be a rather slippery sort of thing. And in our pursuit for that, to find it, because we feel like if we arrive at the place of absolute truth, then we know, we know. And there's some kind of sense of power or authority that comes from being the one who knows. And yet there's this discovery that's coming through that it's actually the unknown, and the ability to move fearlessly in the face of the unknown, and to be driven deeper into this potential portal of discovery is actually where all the power is to be found. It's not something that can be bound within the confines of what can be intellectualized. Somebody is really getting a new perspective. They're ready to let go of their old views, their old ways of seeing things. It just doesn't measure up to much anymore. It doesn't lead to anything stimulating anymore. There's something here too about opening up to a different view of exploration. Some of you are really exploring different philosophies. You're exploring different paths of connecting with your spirit. You're looking at spirituality through a different lens. For some of you, that's extremely radical. And for others of you, it's just a new interpretation of something you've always felt deep within your bones. Whatever you're discovering here and whatever is drawing you in, to completely submerge into it. And I do have this feeling that for a lot of you, it is entering into some kind of deep, enthralling study. That's how it's coming through. But it does have the vibe more of like being in the wizard's lab, and in this sort of experimental zone. Well, what happens, if I pull in a little bit of that and just a dash of this, and then what if we heat it up? Not too much, but, just right about there, and add a splash of that. It does have this vibe of like cooking something up, doing some kind of alchemy work, trying to pull together different ingredients, different essences, different elements, and maybe of a nature of what you're not usually familiar working with, or things that seem contradictory. It does feel a little bit of kind of like, well, I did bring in coyote, so it could be a bit of that like coyote medicine coming through. Some of you may be coyotes. Coyotes work with the energy of source, right? But they work with the energy of the chaotic source of creation. And yet they're able to be in this place where, kind of submerged in it, where that whirlpool of energy can just sort of whirl about you, but you don't get caught up in the centrifugal force. You're able to stay in the center of it, in the eye of it, you could say. But I do feel like you have your attention on something that is on the surface as well at the same time. It's like having a foot in both worlds. And that is this flow. It is this flow. There's something that's opening up in you. There's a book of knowledge that's opening up in you. And this knowledge is actually like the book of your life. It's a certain chapter that's meant to open at this time. And you're submerged in the power of recognition of what is opening. You already sense it. You already have breadcrumbs that are showing up on the path that leads you through the dark wood. You're ready to enter into the dark wood. You're ready to submerge. But you know, ultimately, what's going to happen here is you're earning your wings. You're earning your wings. There's something that will take you up to your true north with this. All right. Let me go ahead and get some cards on the board. This is wanting to expand your knowledge. This is wanting to learn more and to study. Maybe study different philosophies, study different perspectives. Study something you thought you never would ever be interested in studying. This is when the knowledge that's desired is something that brings one more into a state of conscious expansion because it challenges the borders, the barriers of what was previously known. So it's very much like an explorer energy. There's something you're exploring for here, but it comes through study. It comes through study. And as you study it, it causes a lot to stir up in you. Causes a lot to stir up in you. And yet, even though that riles you up at times, you dive deeper into it. So it does feel like there's a lot you're learning about yourself right now and others and your environment. Interesting. Okay, bottom of the deck. Yes. Look, see? You're there in your lab and you're whipping up some potion here. Like you're whipping something up. You're harnessing some power here. It is coming through as phallic power. So when we look at the phallic energy in terms of alchemy, this is about wanting to impregnate a new world. That's how it's coming through. Like the seed. You're ready to use the seed to impregnate the new world you want to see, where it will sit and gestate as you continue to whip something up here in your lab, right? There's a feeling too about like a checkmate moment as well, where maybe someone thought that you were going to be their pawn or you were going to play by the rules of their game, and then you just switched everything up. There is a sense of like a tables turning kind of moment, maybe even with someone who thought that they could harness your power or in some way restrain the power of your free will, restrain the power of your determination. No, it's not possible with a Sagittarius. If anything, Sagittarian energy demands to be free. It demands to be free. If you look up the quote by Tom Robbins, it starts with, love is an outlaw. Yeah, that's the energy of Sagittarius. Love is an outlaw. And I don't remember the complete quote off the top of my head, but I will pin it all for you in the comments, because that coming through very strongly, almost like a theme itself of Sagittarius season. Love is an outlaw. It is like a horse running free and wild on the plains. It can't be restrained. You can't rein it in. To ride it, you got to allow it to be free. To ride the current of the Sagittarian energy means to allow the freedom for exploration, allow the freedom of self-determination, and don't hold tightly, know how to let go and just open up to the exhilaration of what it means to free fall into the unknown, okay? Because there's a lot of powerful things birthing here that are going to get legs to carry you forward. But in order to really embrace this experiment, you could say, for some of you that aren't comfortable moving with that kind of energy, to embrace this kind of experiment, it can make people feel, a little bit edgy when they really let go, when they're used to having control of things. To really let go of the reins can make one feel initially maybe like they're a pawn, like they've been overthrown. Because if you're used to having such a tight grip on everything, when you finally let go, it does feel a little bit initially like spiraling out of control. It could be that there was a recent release of something, something that you were really determined about holding on to. You saw yourself directing it in a certain way, and then you gave yourself over to it. Maybe what you were trying to hold on to was the emotions. Maybe that's why there's like this submerged feeling coming through, like this cloaked feeling coming through, like, ooh, maybe that is the most rebellious thing in Sagittarius season, is to release your hold on your emotions and actually allow your emotions to have free range. Ooh, like your emotions are the vehicle. They are the kinetic motion in the ocean. They're what carry you forward through what has been submerged, so it can become your chariot to bring you to the surface where you're just starting to see the light. It's like you're in the depths, but you're fixated. Like I got that imagery of that shark, in that sort of hypnotic state. And what is drawing your attention in is this light. It's this light source that's glimmering on the surface. And you're like, part of you is wondering, is that a lure, right? Is that something, is that a glimmery thing that's drawing me in? And if I go for that, if I head in that direction, is it going to get me on a hook? Am I going to get hooked up? Am I going to get hooked up? Am I going to end up like Ishtar down there, judged by Ishkragel? Yeah. Then am I going to have to bargain? Am I going to have to bargain for my way out of the underworld by offering up somebody else? This kind of energy. Who's going to have to be the fall guy? Interesting themes. Yeah, there's a lot that is sort of hidden. A lot that's hidden at this time too. With this being a collective energy, it's got like secret society vibes, but you know what I'm also picking up? I'm picking up wannabe secret society vibes. Illuminati grifters, you know what I'm saying? Like people who want to have that kind of like mystique, that sort of notoriety, they want to feel like they got some secret club, secret crew, with hidden designs, that could be a bit of the lore that's being spun out there. Yeah, somebody is really working it right now. They're deep in a very mystical process, and it's getting kind of out there, but the more that it gets out there, what's interesting is the more that the sweetness comes to bloom, and the more that there's actually a sense of direction, even though the reins have been released to, something unnameable, unknowable, but all you know is that the further you go in this direction, the further you keep your sights set there, the more you feel like you're actually making the climb rather than just sitting at the bottom of the mountain and considering what would it be like to get to the summit. You're actually getting there. You're actually getting there. And it brings in elk medicine. And elk medicine is about having a healthy sense of pride, you know, having something that you do want to share. You do want to take maybe something that has been deeply concealed and you want to bring it up to the surface and you want to share it. You want to share it. You want people to know about it because you feel, you feel a sense of inner certainty about it, that it's meant to be shared, that you're meant to bring this forward. It could be as something as simple as a very powerful communication or statement of intention, a declaration. It could be, yeah, there's something you discovered as you have been digging deep here. There's something you've discovered and you're crowned with this knowledge now. You're crowned with, maybe even charged with something that you must bring up and out, something you must share here. It has something to do with breaking a cycle. And there's the elevation again. There is some sense of manifestation coming in here with your new moon, with the Sagittarian new moon on the 19th. I feel like you're breaking a cycle of deception. And it's almost like what has been hidden or concealed, an aspect of yourself. It could be the very thing that lends this sort of like secret society kind of vibe, because it could be something that you have really been brewing, you know, behind the scenes. It could be with others, it's possible. But there's something you've been brewing here. There's something you've been working on and you're going to make it externalized. You finally decided, like, this is something I need to actually show up and represent myself as, instead of kind of always keeping this concealed, because now it's the point where it's time for the great revealing. It's something that you've kept buried for a long time and you're not willing to let it rest anymore. You're ready to breathe life into it. There's also magic coming in with this owl medicine here. Magic and access to knowledge about hidden things. Certainly for those who are alchemists, there are strong occult vibes coming in here. It's almost like reclaiming a lineage of magic. It was something that was buried deep in your roots. Maybe that's something you have been diving into. You've submerged yourself in the study of your ancestral roots. You've recovered magics along the way. You've seen into hidden places within yourself that are better understood now through understanding your roots, where you came from, your origin story. You're seeing how that lore has been woven throughout your DNA, and now you're picking up the next piece of the tale that you're spinning into creation. Some of you may actually be spinning a tale into creation. You may be writers. You may be lyricists. You may be writing lyrics. You may be writing an album. Maybe that is the book of knowledge opening up in you. It's like all of your experiences are coming through in this moment of creative catharsis, and you're creating some great work. There's a lot of interesting kind of like dualistic meaning. Maybe the great work itself is the magic, you know? Maybe it's something that you've been cooking up in your lab, so to speak. The lab could be like a production studio, you know, you at the mixing board, bringing in different elements, you know, I could see that too. There's layers to this. But there's something here that I feel like it's been concealed for a long time, and you're getting ready to start the process of actually externalizing it, you know? Okay, it's time. It's time to break ground on this, because you've been crowned by this. Like, you're charged with this. There's something that's a bit of your destiny here. And maybe it was something that you couldn't fulfill in a previous incarnation. Now it's like, no, it's time. It's time. You may have been held back before. And when I say in previous incarnations, maybe even just different stages of your life, you held this back. And now you're breaking the cycle of keeping this hidden, because it's time for it to come up and out. If you don't, it's like you're going to be haunted forever. I don't know what this is. In some cases, it almost feels like there's a bit of a guide energy, or maybe an ancestral energy, an otherworld energy that's connected in this cycle here, that's sort of like, you know, you and me, we're going to be like joined at the hip until you fulfill this. Like, there's something that maybe you have been warded, you've been protected by a guide, by an ancestral energy. It has that sort of feeling to it. And maybe they're tired of this. Like, we get so close. We get so close, and then, you know, you chicken out and you keep it buried. And they're like, look, we're going to go for this again. But it's almost like, look, the digging ghost almost looks like, oh God, here we go again. Are you going to actually do it this time? There could be like a sense of procrastination because of a feeling of the intensity and the significance of the moment. It does have that impression, like, this guide is like, you need to see this through, man. I don't want to come back and do this another life. I don't know. This is interesting. It feels like a generational link, like a spirit of a thing that has been woven through the generational bloodline, you know, and is coming through you now. It's like, okay, you're charged with this now. Are you going to be able to fulfill this? I think you will. It's like you're breaking some cycle here. Okay. One shuffle here, see what we get. Then I'm going to do a cut of the deck. And we'll dive into the Sagittarius Solar Return Quest read for those of you celebrating your birthdays. Yeah, happy birthday. I do think you got that scorpionic territory by the tail here. You're calling judgment on something. You did cleanse something here. You learned a lot in Scorpio season. There is so much you submerged yourself into. You could have real strong Scorpio in your chart. It used to be difficult for you to work with that aspect of your inner cosmology, just because of the intensity and how you can really tap into things in a very kinetic way. Like, you feel the energy and it compels you to move. And sometimes that can make you a bit impulsive. You act too fast, or because the energy comes in so intense, it can feel activating. And so you act quickly, but not only quickly, you kind of bring too much pointed or intense energy to the table. This could be something that's been a little bit challenging in the past. You've been really sinking into the Scorpio energy. You've been sinking into the energies of Pluto, the energies of Mars. You've been really learning how to balance this out. You've been learning how to take that intensity. Ted was out there barking at the door. Yeah, you can feel like what's coming at you, what's entering into your scene before it actually arrives there. It can make you want to fire off like a warning call here, right? But you learned through really submersing yourself in that energy when it did feel really activating, when it did feel really intense. And the more you just sort of like, okay, let me try not to kind of like get wound up in deciphering this energy. Instead, just sit in this energy, see what it has to show me here. And you learned how to master it. You've learned how to master sensitivity. And because of learning how to master sensitivity, this has empowered you. sensitivity is an empowerment. A lot of people, just with the way they've been programmed by the matrix, view sensitivity as a weakness, view vulnerability as a weakness, view being too open as being a weakness. And that's not actually true. It's the converse. It's actually the converse that is true. And you can only discover that first by going into that very thing that feels so activating or so intense, and learning how to acclimate to it. So I think you've been put in a lot of situations that have been creating this kind of stimulus for you, and you've been able to just really dissolve into it. You've mastered it. You cleanse this away. And as a result, it's bringing about some new birth in your life. There's a new beginning coming in here. And you have effectively closed out a real heavy cycle here, moving through the territory of Scorpio. Not needing to operate on a clandestine level, ready to show up and represent, really embody your truth, embody who you are. Not needing to move in secrecy, because there was a recognition that the way secrecy can become a binding, it can become something that actually restrains, limits. And when you're able to just fully be present in your authentic expression, totally show up as you are, there's a real liberation and freedom in that, even freedom from the judgments of others, being able to withstand the judgments of others and just sort of take in what does resonate, use it as a point of reflection, but most of the time recognizing that a lot of what was creating so much intensity within you internally was because of projections you were taking on that actually weren't harmonized with you at all. So there's a lot that you've explored here. You've explored the taboo, you've pushed the edges, you've challenged things that you never challenged before. You firmly got this in your grasp. And that's an incredible empowerment here as you lead the charge. It has the sense of leading the charge. And I hear that, I hear that almost coming through visually. Does that make sense? I mean, that may seem a very strange way to communicate about it, but it's like that. It's like a number having a flavor, kind of energy. That's what it is. There's, number nine, revolution, number 9, that song on the White Album coming through for the Beatles. It's that kind of energy. There is something that is a little bit exploratory, psychonaut kind of signature coming in with this energy. It's the birth of exploration. It's boldly going into areas of exploration and discovery you never have before, and able to do it in such a way where you have a firm grasp on it. Okay? And this is allowing you to step into greater things. It's also allowing you to rise to the challenge of a certain call that's coming in. And look at that. And that's what came out again. So we already know what this is about. We covered this. This is the memo, right? New moon. Something that was cloaked is revealed. Some deception is seen through. A certain magic is reclaimed, recovered, something that comes from your roots. And there's something of power that you're drawing down here. It's materializing in your reality. This is the start of it. There's the breaking of a cycle. And there's the beginning of a new creation. New creation. Ooh, that's kind of an interesting message. And it's coming through in such a way of like a lineage of alchemists. That's how it's coming through. Maybe that's why like the secret society kind of vibes are coming in. Like a bloodline, a family bloodline where there's a lineage of alchemists, right? And something that was set in motion by the ancestors, like the great work was set in motion. It finally materializes now through you. And this breaks a cycle of something that was keeping the potential in this repeat karmic loop, but you're disrupting it. And so whatever that great working was of your ancestors, you are the vehicle that's rooting it in reality now. And this is initiated into with the new moon in Sagittarius on the 19th. Wow. Interesting. So it's almost like there was something that had you a little caught up, maybe caught up in Scorpio's pinchers. Yeah, caught you up in Scorpio's pinchers for a while that finally you mastered, like you cleansed it away. And that's how this is able to come through. Ooh, I like it. I dig the energy. I do. I dig the energy. Let's do a cut of the deck and see what we got here. Look. So all of that creative potential, all that's been held in the crypt started to crack open. It's like a vault. The vault started to crack open, or the lid started to slide off the sarcophagus with this full moon. And you're going to start to have more of this energy kind of come through. It's all this creative energy that's been held back for lifetimes. It's being set in motion through you. And it's also a vault of knowledge. And it's going to bring you a lot of activation of awareness of who you are. Oh my gosh, 41:33 on the clock. Yes, that comes to 13. Power. Yeah, there's some kind of power that you're arriving at through self-knowledge of actually what's held within the crypt of you. It's like something that's been buried in the underworld within you is cracking open. And it's just full of all that impregnating energy. That energy of nucleation. It's like the nucleus is now starting to form into the seed. The seed that's being planted here. And there's something that really just cracks open with the new moon. That's wild. Yeah, it's not here yet. You see? It's not here yet with the floppy key. There's still like, there's one key piece. There's one key challenge. There's one element. There's something missing here that you need to discover, the missing thing that's needed for what you're brewing up in that lab of yours. But you're going to get this key. You don't have it yet. What's behind that? Oh, look at that. Look at that. There's the key. Ooh. Ooh. This is a crossroads matter. Somebody fumbled their key. Somebody fumbled their key. Or somebody, maybe your fetch is retrieving the key from somebody who stole it. There's definitely something that's being retrieved here. You got a fetch. You got a fetch that's helping you retrieve something that gives you what you need. Maybe to open this vault, right? To open this door of opportunity, this storehouse of knowledge and gifts. You're going to get it. Something will be balanced out here, but there's definitely like a crossroads energy here. I feel like something was swiped by another who like bit the hand that fed them. That's how it's coming through. And I think that your fetch is helping you straighten this out so you can retrieve what's rightfully yours. That's how the energy is coming through. Collectively, all right? Collectively. So, of course, speaking very strongly for all of you that have Sagittarius placements, but everybody moving through this territory is feeling this energy, and it's speaking to them on one level or another. And now I'm going to dive into the straight up Sagittarian, Sun natives, solar return quest read. Please know that even if you're not a Sagittarius Sun, if you got a strong Sag placement, you can tune into this. You also can tune into it even if you don't have a Sagittarius placement at all. You don't have anything really dinging in your 9th house or any strong Sagittarius placements in your chart. That's okay. Maybe you can learn something from diving into the energy anyway, because it can help you understand where you have those gaps. You know, maybe it's good for you to submerge into the Centaurian energy. There's a lot you can learn about that. But it is set with the intention that this is for the next trip around the sun for Sagittarians. So happy birthday to all of you Sagittariuses out there. I hope that you're feeling the momentum build in your life and that you're ready to set foot on a path that is going to open up quite a bit of possibilities to you. I do feel like there's a really kind of cool sort of meandering energy coming in for you. It's focused, but it's meandering as well. There's something about it that's very exploratory and really embracing your true spirit as an adventurer, someone who wants to discover more, and really opening yourself up to different paths of exploration, even as it does seem that there is some grander vision that's coming into the mainframe for you that will enamor you. It keeps coming through as enamored, right? So I feel like that's like a key word for this next trip around the sun. Enamored. Enamored. You are enamored. And that may be like a quality you can clue into that lets you know when you're on the right track. Like, yes, this is resonant because you feel enamored by it. Okay, so we're going to open up with just getting like a general overarching theme of what's in store for you in this next trip around the sun. We know that your ruling planet Jupiter is retrograde until, I think, gosh, it's a number of months, moving through Cancer. Okay, so you're going through some watery territory, certainly. You're definitely feeling the element of the water. Your intuition is heightened. You're more in your feels. You are really sensing things at this time. You're in a reflective space. There's also a lot you're kind of cleansing, releasing, letting go. Sagittarians are pretty good with letting things go, letting things flow on, except when they have a bone to pick. Except when they have a bone to pick, then they can be rather determined to pick that bone until it's totally clean, you know, that kind of energy coming through. Or when they have a point to make, yeah. Or when they're just determined to do something, you know. I'm going to do this and I don't care, you know, then they can be hard pressed to let go, right? But I do think there's a lot you're learning about being in the water and being in the flow. And there's a lot of blessings coming in. It's a good time. It's a good cycle for you. So do expect that. Fortune will favor you on the quest ahead. Bottom of the deck, yeah. Number 22 coming in. I'm so far. Yes, yes, yes. See, you're in this place where you have like given something over. I told you you're enamored by the light. Look at that. Like you went real deep into something, but you're fixated on something that's glimmering on the surface. Something that's captivating your attention. It's like making you want to move out of this place of being cloaked or being in this more submersive kind of energy to actually breaching the barrier. And it's not a barrier that has been, how can I put this? A limitation. It's more like a barrier that's been there for incubation. Yeah, that's how it's coming through. And you do have a vision that's hatching here. You know, there's a lot of energy pouring in, but again, I got that message that you're actively enamored by the light. There's something that's a light source for you that has captured your attention here, and that's the basis of your quest and what's setting you off on a particular journey here. So let's get some more clues about this. What is this that has Sagittarius so enamored? Give a clue to Sagittarius about where they should maintain that focus as they open up this road that will lead them through another turning of the wheel, another trip around the sun. Let's see what is coming in here. Ooh, okay, well there's a path landing right in your lap. You're on lock with your Pathfinder medicine, wolf medicine coming in. So your senses are very engaged. And do you see? There's the light again, right at your heart. Totally aligned. Your heart is the way through. And this is something that is actively building here. You have the vision coming in, but it does land in your heart. It opens up a path of heart for you. Wow, look at this. Yeah, that's where your new beginning lies. It comes in as a vision, but it lands in your heart. And I feel there's a lot of power to it because we have epsilon modulation here. On the basis of the matter, that card came in with the number 22. So 22 is a synchronicity for you. There's something you're bringing together here, something that has been apart, something that was once viewed as a complete opposite. Like there's a mirroring energy here. And then there's this point where contact is made from what has been kept separate in one's mind, in one's energy, in one's field of possibility, okay? So it can have almost like an energy of timelines merging, okay? Or an inner harmonization that's coming about here. Epsilon modulation is about getting things calibrated in a state of balance within oneself. And then once you are in that place of inner balance, you're able to externalize the gift that comes through that. And there is a path of heart opening up for you here. And there is a new beginning. There's a new beginning that brings some kind of light and expansion into the heart space. Coming in with the energy of 28. So that's 10. Wheel of Fortune, your energy. This is a new beginning that brings gifts. It also is very powerful. 22. Maybe even joining forces with another or joining forces with a path of purpose. Something very powerful is happening here. Your Wheel of Fortune is turning. And the gift is something that lands in your heart. So I feel like you're in the process of opening yourself up to receive this too. So let's see what this is. Give me some more details. You've been really balancing your energy in terms of opening up your sacral chakra, Svadhisthana. So removing creative blocks. Also, there may be something that you've been healing in terms of intimacy and the way that you have shared your intimate energy with other people. Maybe also doing a little releasing from previous intimate partners where you've been doing a lot of extraction work, you know, pulling out those cords of attachment at the root, really taking up this space in your body again and having an inner authority around that. Also, there's something about really bringing in creativity as a way to channel that, work through that. And additionally, there's been blockages in Manipura, solar plexus. You may have felt like a lot of tightness, tension in your solar plexus. You may have had some digestive issues too. That's connected to these two energy centers. They've been blocked. They've been blocked up here, okay? And you may have at times felt like disempowered or didn't have the confidence to act on a certain inner calling, something that was stirring, and yet you have been taking your power back. I feel like what you've been doing is some kind of energetic extraction. You recognize what was draining your life force energy, what was draining your power. You drew your prana vayu back into you. There is something here, something that almost felt draining on a gut level. So I don't know if you were really feeling like a lot going on in this center of your body, but I feel like you've resolved something here. This is allowing the energy to come up into the heart space. This is allowing you to finally experience this dissolving of what was keeping you closed and unable to receive some new beginning that wants to come in for you here. You're in the final stages of balancing this out. Let's see what else wants to come in here. This is the process of your quest as well. You're finding your path of heart this next trip around the sun, and it brings you a gift. It brings you a golden egg. It brings you a golden egg. A goose that lays a golden egg might be like a Capricorn connection to this. Okay, so there might be something that you're doing here on a very public level. So it makes me think of that 10th house. Something that will bring some kind of golden moment. Something that opens up a path of abundance. Yeah, that's absolutely connected to your heart space. I see that we got the shock of the new here. So there very well could be something that you're creating here. Remember, there was that piece about there's something that needs to be expressed. It needs to come up and out. Absolutely. You see, your voice carries. Your voice has a frequency that is meant to be activated at this time because it spirals in this new creative cycle. And it is the stuff that is your field of dreams here. There's something that carries here. That's how it's coming through. It is aligned with your purpose. And it very well could involve you bringing your voice forward in some way. You could be a musician. You could be in production on something. You could be a singer, a public speaker, a playwright. There's something you're meant to do here. There may be something you have a message about, something that starts a movement, and you might need to take it to the airwaves. You might need to organize. You might need to step into this position, lead a certain charge. And it is coming in with the energy of 6. So yeah, that's Venusian energy. I mean, it's absolutely something that could put you in your heart. It also may be something where it causes you to have to be really strong because there's resistance too. There's resistance, there's closed minds, there's those who would like to suppress what you want to bring forward here because it does awaken people, it stirs the people, all right? It ruffles feathers in some cases, and it's shocking too. It's shocking for others who have grown rather complacent in their perception of you. You know, it's not easy for them to adapt to this new version of yourself. It's not really a new version of you, though. It's actually who you've always been. It's your moon energy externalized, beaming bright, not concealed, not hidden. And it's the very thing that brings the sun into your life. There's like a sun-moon synergy happening in your life here. What was hidden is now externalized. The mystery is no longer concealed. It's been revealed, and it's something that requires adjustment for other people. I see that. But it moves you out of your crossroads, and you see it's all this beautiful stuff of your heart space there opening up, and it's merging here with Vishuddha, the throat chakra, your voice, and it's activating your purpose. And you see the world very differently too. The more you step into this, the more the vision grows. The more the vision grows inwardly, and as it comes in, you see it externalized. This is being at that place where you're so in that flow of the frequency that rapidly your thoughts materialize. You see it, and that's when you know you're tapped in to your true power source. The synchronicities are coming in real thick and fast. You got signposts everywhere. All right, let me do a cut of the deck and see what we got here. Look at that. Beyond the mind, the heart beats. Yeah, there's something that you brought to a close here. There's something you brought to an end. And now new life is stirring. It's the nucleation process. There's something new that's spiraling into creation already. It starts out as something of the stuff of your heart, but I see there's three new beginnings that are protected here, that are coming in. 3 blessings. I think they're blessings that will really fill your heart with a lot of joy here. And there is something here that is meant to activate at this time. It's really interesting how all that imagery is coming in, because it's what we already brought in here about something finally coming through the bloodline, activated in your DNA, and it's manifesting now. And it brings something that's secured just for you. It's something that ultimately will feather your nest, right? But there's also that need to really protect this, protect this, and to make sure that you protect it with your awareness, with your focus. That's what protects it. You think about it, when the eggs are in the nest, before they can break through that shell and experience that freedom of taking flight, there needs to be a lot of conscientiousness about tending to the protection of those eggs, because what the life that's held within, what's been nucleated there, that shell only has so much strength, and it only has so much strength in relation to the energy invested in watching over it. You know what I mean? So there is this sense of needing to be mindful of this. This is something you should be mindful of, right? Because these new beginnings that are going to hatch in your life over this next turning of the wheel, they're precious. What's contained in here is precious. It took a long time to get here through you. Also, I'm noticing this bindi here placed on the third eye. And these are given. This is not something you give to yourself. This is something that is bestowed upon you. In India, when you have been working with a teacher and you finally have grokked a certain lesson and you've reached an arrival point, they will put the kumku, they take it's red sandalwood, and they'll take a bit of it and they'll put it on the third eye. It's a mark of well done. You've learned something. You've completed a major cycle here. And with this completion coming in with the energy of the world 21 there's something that transforms and you go beyond the mind. It no longer is just a vision. No, it's crossed that bridge and it's landed into your heart, and the path opens up to you, through you. Really beautiful energy coming in here. Ooh, there's a couple cards that wanted to come in on the other side, so let me look at this. Yes, through what comes to a close, whatever you started to release here with this past full moon, there's more illumination that is coming in. You see how there's like sort of this shell around that moon. It's interesting. So maybe you had a seed of something come in there. Something was illuminated for you with the full moon. something you really want to create some kind of protection around. You recognized a seed of potential here. Something got nucleated for you with this last full moon we just had in Gemini. Gemini, which is indeed your descendant sign. Something will birth out of what came to a close, what you wrapped up in Scorpio season. Because you exercised emotional intelligence here in regard to somebody or something that was really draining your power and your creativity. And it may have gotten too intimate with you, like you may have allowed this in. It got too familiar with you, too intimate with you, and you got too used to that particular energy exchange too, where something would really drain you, take from you, draw from you. There could have been a little back and forth with that. There could have been a little bit of a kind of codependent angle with this, but there is something you saw through. There is something where you recognize clearly where this was coming from, and you cleared this out with emotional intelligence because you remembered something. You remembered something, and you are getting the fire to light your lantern that is about to take you down a path of mysticism and exploration. Nothing that rolls out here in your next trip around the sun is going to be ordinary. It's all going to take on an extraordinary tone, but I want to see what's on the very bottom of the deck here, since these slid out of their own accord. Whoo! Yeah, look at that. All right. You are activating the Pathfinder in you. It's like wolf spirit is working through you, and your moon is being externalized. You're not hiding it anymore. You're exploring wildness. You're going down a path you've never been down before. And I mean, it really feels to me like the path you're going down is complete, like wide open vulnerability, and that for you is something brand new to be this wide open. You haven't been this wide open before, and it feels a little dangerous, but for some reason it's also the very thing that's just awakens like the animal body, you know, the feral nature. You've picked up the scent of the trail, and you're like the feral nerd, even though it makes you feel a little antsy. You can't resist. Because you know that's where all the mana is. You know that's what's been missing. Only that can quench your thirst for life. Okay, I like it. All right, let's see. Let's get some more details. Let's see. What do I want to bring in for you all? I'm going to bring these guys out here. Angels and imps on the scene. It's on the bottom of the deck here. Oh, yes. Just as your world is coming into view, here comes Apophis, trying to steal your sun. Trying to steal your sun. Yeah, you've been here before. It's a tale as old as time. This character, maybe this is the energy that's been following you for lifetimes. A slight against Apophis. Yeah, he is unrelenting. He's going to make sure he's going to best you this time around. I'll get that sun if it's the last thing I do. But you've been made rather intelligent and bold, so I think you're going to give old Apophis there the slip. Yeah, you've been lighting up his moves. You've been seeing what he's been doing down there. He thought he escaped your attention, but he didn't. You're very aware of what's running the show, what's being concealed. You have the light of understanding, and you've acquired the knowledge you need to rectify something that's gone wrong, okay? All right, let's check it out. Let's find out what your nemesis or spirit ally is as you make this next trip around the sun, as you head out on this new campaign. It's just a continuation story, really. There is this vibe. Okay, here we go again. Let's get at it this time. Let's see what happens this time. You got an opponent. We know right off the bat. Your opponent is Apophis. There could be like an Egyptian connection here. Somebody with Egyptian roots, or it could be somebody who works with that pantheon of magic, or it could be something that connects ancestrally to ancient Egypt. Maybe a lifetime you felt you lived in ancient Egypt. Something here, coming home to roost. Coming home to roost. Oh my God. This is, I look on the split. Yeah, there's Apophis again. You're like, yep, that's it. I've already got the memo on that one. I saw old Apophis coming. Page of Wands, that's your energy, Sag. You're like, that's why I'm trying to focus on the light right now, because I know I can feel this character creeping up on me. They're going to try to blot out my sun again. I think you're going to confound the wicked, though. This person works with slander. That's how they achieve their aim. This person's a coward. This person's a coward. I don't think that they're going to be able to get to you in this way. Yeah, they try to work subversively to create disruption in your network. Create disruption in your network. Like, they feel like you rely a lot on your connections, the people you know. They don't see the strength you hold. They don't understand the strength that you hold on your own. And you do have the ability to confound the wicked, because there's something here that you understand that they don't see. You know how to use their own ego against them. You're going to turn their own words against them. Look at that. Wow. Yeah. You have truth and justice on your side. You have protection from old Apophis there, or whoever's housing Apophis right now, you know. That's kind of how the energy is coming through. It feels like it's a time-hopping energy that just sort of has followed the bloodline. It could be connected to a life in ancient Egypt, for those of you that resonate with that perspective, okay? But it just jumps in one body after another, like invasion of the body snatchers. And why? To try to trap you up. And it can use really tricky means to catch you up here, almost like the tail of Icarus. Yeah, I can see that. Like, maybe this energy feels that your ego is your weakness. So if they can kind of spin something, lure you in with something that looks like a real glimmery thing, something that will appeal to your ego, then that can give them the upper hand to maybe set you up in such a way that you take a fall. They do this because they know what you hold, and they would like to steal your fortune here. But I see you got protection. You got protection from this force. There's something you already grokked, and now I think you're turning the tables on this energy. You're going to teach them a thing or two, because something here is securing your reputation. And I think that's what's coming through about the voice. The voice. Like, you need to use the power of your voice, because it's just you showing up and letting who you are rise to the surface, like what you've been working on. And in some cases, this could be the way you've been alchemizing your own shit, you know? The way that you have been doing some really deep integrative work, and now you're like ready to take what's been going on hidden, concealed from prying eyes, and you're getting ready to externalize it, right? And that there is what secures your good reputation. And it makes you loved, not only by friends and new allies that find their way to your path, but even the ones who were working against you, they can't help but maybe they're enamored by you. Ooh, oh, that is spicy. Oh, isn't that tricky? So those who worked against you are now enamored by you, because they have to admit that you got something you're working with there. Because how did you best that? How did you overcome that? How did you spin that? How did you do that? How did you do that, Sag? Ooh, that's spicy. Okay, so you're working with some energy that's a little bit of both. A little bit of nemesis and ally. Your nemesis is your best ally. because they're actually the master maker on your path. Ooh, I think that burns them a little bit, man. It burns them a little bit. And at the same time, they can't help but be enamored by it and have respect for it. Okay. Ooh, spicy. I like this energy. I really do. I like this energy. Okay, let's see. Let's see what the lay of the land is for you. What is the lay of the land for Sag on this next trip around the sun? I mean, that came out real quick, so I feel like there's something you already have on lock. Like, there is a sense of you knowing your coordinates, or at least the next step of what you need to do here on your mission. Basis of the matter, Queen of Cups. Yes, you're seeking for redemption, redemption of your heart. Something that will help you kind of serve some justice to those who've worked against you. And there's also something here where you know the truth. You know what's true to you. It could even be that somebody questioned your love or questioned your devotion to something, questioned your loyalty to a cause, right? And you have been loyal to a cause, or your love is true, or you are devoted, you know. There's something about you are, you know, the Queen of Cups. You are in that place of really holding that quality that nurtures with the heart, right? But somebody defiled that. Somebody questioned that. Somebody called that into question. And this is a redemption moment for you. Redemption moment for you. Yeah, look at that. 6 of Pentacles. There's a state of union here. Divine grace cures rage and pestilence and absolves the guilty. So it's like you were judged. Guilt was cast upon you. A judgment was made upon you. And it's like you're getting cleared. Like, this is a redemption moment where somebody tried to call judgment on you. They tried to tell you who you are. And you're actually making it very clear. And not only you're making it very clear, but Spirit itself is making it very clear by what you're coming into alignment with here. And it is something you're coming into union with here, materially, in material reality. It could be another you're coming into alignment with too. Somebody who's always seen the truth in you. Whatever this is, it is your path of heart. It's your path of heart. You know it. There's absolute resonance there. Okay, so this is what it's all about. It's about you really coming into union with your heart. And everything that is in harmony with that in the outer reality is joining forces with you here. It's recognized. There's no way that anybody can slander you when you're on the path of heart, because there's just such perfect alignment, such unification with everything that is indicative of one who's on the right track, you know, that it's seen, it's evident. And there could be somebody very key that you're harmonizing with here, somebody you're coming into union with. Some of you are really connecting with somebody that has your heart, you know. This is coming into alignment with a star mate, somebody who's always been loyal to you. They never stop being loyal to you, or the truth of that connection and what it means and its potential has never been something that has ever dissipated, no matter what, no matter how many lifetimes, no matter how many challenges. So this is really arriving centered in heart space here. It's beautiful. I mean, that's the main objective. That's the lay of the land. I think that's the road you see before you as you travel further into this new path that's rising up to meet you now. Let's see what the beef is here. I mean, we know you got Apophis here. Apophis is wanting to steal the sun, wanting to prevent you from getting to that destination where you have your time in the sun. But what is the beef about? What's the meat of the matter? Why? Why is this here? Why is this contention here? Where did it come from? What's the basis of that, Spirit? Interesting. The Lovers. And the Hangman, wow. Somebody thought that they could mask as this one that you're meant to connect with. That's what it's got. It's almost got the vibes of like somebody thought they could catch you up, enamoring you with a facsimile of the real thing. It's giving me the vibes of Pulp Song, bad cover version. Somebody was a bad cover version for the real thing. Something tricky got pulled here where somebody almost like cloaked themselves with another's energy. Cloaked themselves with your star mate's energy. And so there was a little bit of sleight of hand, a little bit of a lure kind of energy here. There is somebody here, they're running that Apophis energy. They would like to trade places. That's what's been hanging things up. Trade places with the lover. Trade places with the one that you're meant to come into harmony with here. They've been fixated on the feminine in this situation. They've been fixated on the feminine, trying to make the feminine barren, trying to make the feminine without seed. So you see, that really does sort of like crystallize that message that came in about the creative center has been blocked, okay? Somebody's been actively working on this to try to keep things hung up. And this is something that's been following for a while. It says, lights corpse lights above graves and moves bodies so the souls may be stolen. This is something that is rising up out of that crypt of the past. It's like a spirit of a thing that hopped into another and created sort of a disguise, a cloaking of energy, masquerading as the one. Masquerading as the one that you're supposed to team forces with, but it was an illusion to try to actually get you hung up so you would miss your date with destiny. Meanwhile, like the Emperor is waiting. The Emperor is waiting for the Empress and is like, what the hell is keeping you so long? Not recognizing what's going on here. This sleight of hand. That's the beef. Yeah. There's an Emperor here on the scene, basis of the matter. I mean, this could be your energy, like, what's the holdup? I don't get it. And yet you understand that there's a need for safety in traveling as you're making your way up to that stone of destiny, because there's a lot of conspiracies operating here, a lot of propaganda, you could say, that's been set in motion through the wagging of tongues, like a lot of slander, a lot of opposition, a lot of factions. It's got that kind of energy. There's social politics operating here. In some cases, with those who have a purpose that is about challenging outside authority, there's actual politics involved here, you know. There are forces that threaten you bringing something to light. There are forces that threaten the coming together of two that are meant to team up, and they're being held back by this energy that has its roots in the deep past. Well, that's a good thing to know. And that's just what it's about. It's about trying to prevent this meeting of minds, meeting of paths, you meeting with your purpose. But it feels like with the 22 energy that came in initially, this is about it takes two. It's like dynamic duo energy. Two fortunes are intertwined, and there's a third fortune that inserted itself into the mix that has the spirit of that thing that's trying to separate this path of purpose. And there's like an Emperor on the scene that's frustrated by this. They understand what the holdup is. They understand that there needs to be some safety created in travel in order to get this thing from where it's been held up. There's a need to travel through some unfamiliar territory, to be a wanderer in a strange land, to understand the customs of the territory one's moving through, and to have to be careful about charting that course. Okay? Okay? All right. What are the consequences that Sagittarius needs to deal with on this road as a result, a direct result of their past actions? What's their responsibility to navigate here, their peace they need to hold as they're charting their course through this unfamiliar territory? Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. It's like, well, you need to get the ticket and you need to go for the ride in the first place. That's what I see. Got the name Michael coming in reverse. So that could be a clue for somebody. Somebody could be dealing with somebody named Michael who maybe is preventing forward motion here. In some cases, there's something that's off. Archangel Michael is like, you shall not pass, is protecting another here. Maybe because there hasn't been safety in travel established. Like there's some way that something is trying to be pressed forward that is creating a hostile environment, an environment that favors marauders, an environment that favors dark forces. They need to be overthrown in this situation. And this avenue has not been established yet. So there's no way to move it forward. First, there has to be some kind of transformation. Transformation to release dependency on a particular flying monkey. Yeah, because this flying monkey is what's hanging things up. Two of Pentacles. Creating imbalance, keeping things stuck at the crossroads. They bite the hand that feeds. You may think you have them well trained. You do not. You do not. They're playing tricks on you. Whoever this character is, they know how to journey in the underworld. Monkey. Monkey is able to journey through the underworld. They are familiar with that territory. Also, monkey, slippery character in this case. Makes me think of the Monkey King. This one has a great ego. They have their own designs. You may say that there is one ring to rule them all, but they want that ring for themselves. Ultimately, this monkey gets caught up in the tale, at least, that it involves Kuan Yin. There could be a need for compassion in this situation. There might need to be compassion in a situation where you may feel frustrated by the holdups, but there's something you need to understand. Something's a lot more tricky than you think. Something has been moved forward unconsciously and it's being warded. The angelic forces are coming in. They're like, oh, hell no, you shall not pass. You shall not pass until you shed this. There's a tricky element in play here, and you may try to come through one way, but we see the true design here. Something needs to be transformed. It very well could be something attached that's the tricky element here. It's got flying monkey vibes. It does. It could be somebody you're familiar with. It actually has been sent in by another that is creating complication. There's like trickery here. This is somebody that you consider a friend, but in reconciling with this particular energy, you created an open door for the enemy to enter. That's how it's coming through. And so I feel like this is what you need to deal with. Something got brought into this mix that is suspect. It's suspect and it's creating imbalance. It bites the hands that feed because it has its own designs. It wants that ring. For egoic power, that is how it's coming through. So this is what you need to be aware of. Something needs to be transformed here. You also need to actually move your plan into action. Move your objectives into action. There's too much just sort of submerging yourself in it and letting it just sort of all team inside of you. And so there's stagnancy that's developing here as well. You haven't been persevering enough, and that's why you're not having success in conflict. That's why adversity is getting the upper hand. It's because you're not persevering enough.
You're not moving it into action. You also may be dependent on another here to do the work for you, to create transformation, and that's the very thing that will slip you up. There's some element you brought in here. It's bad cover version. It's not working. It can't even be like cloaking the energy to the extent that it's not working. You need to shed that. You need to shed this false identity before you're going to be able to move forward. Whatever costume you're wearing, or the way you're hiding your true intention, or what your true designs are for your future and what you want to call in here, it's time for the big reveal. I feel that. You may also need to reveal somebody who's been operating like this. You need to call it out. You've turned a blind eye. You've let somebody get away with something for far too long. And because of that, adversity has been what's persevered. You can turn this around, though. You can. It requires you to create a safe path for travel to get where you want to go. You have to be very perseverant in this. You need to create this safety in travel. And you also have to persevere despite the challenges, not just get overwhelmed the first time, something gets a little difficult. If you do this, you'll have success in conflict. You'll overcome what opposes you, all right? But it's under your charge. If you do this, then you have the protection. But it's kind of like you're wanting protection without making the effort. And so the protection's not there. And because of a questionable character you're aligned with, who claims to know the way, but they do not. They do not know the way to get where you want to go. They know the way to get where they want to go. And they're convincing you that the two are the same, and they're not. That's what that is, okay? Let's see what the power to be gained is by you through self-mastery. Like, how can you truly hold the power in your life and in this such situation so you can wield it wisely? There's something you have to master here. So let's see what the power is to be gained through self-mastery for you, Sagittarius. What is the power to be gained by you for self-mastery? What is the power to be gained? Basis of the matter. Seven of Swords. See, you gotta call it out, man. You have to call it out. This has gone on for too long. You got to call it out, because if you call it out, the two are able to come into alignment. There's healing. There's healing for two. Something is transformed through the mercurial energy here. There's something that involves the voice. And this returns items that have been stolen, and it punishes the thieves. And it, for you, reveals hidden treasures. Something you didn't even know was there. It's like, if you open the crypt, the vault opens too. They're one and the same. They're one and the same. That's the basis of the matter. Okay? What is the power to be gained? What is the power to be gained? So that is, mercurial energy. That is waving that wand of the magician in the right way. In the right way. Waving the wand too. It's almost like, I'm almost seeing this imagery of like directing the energy where you're almost like erasing something, like clearing it from the main frame of the vision. Yeah, Page of Swords. Interesting. Page of Swords. I got like the vibe. Look, it makes me think about like love as an outlaw. There's something you're fixated on here, like wanted. Wanted. There's an energy here that's wanted because you're recognizing that it's preventing you from pulling the sword from the stone. It's something that keeps making your destiny a virtue. There's something you are tapping into here. You're developing your strategy through getting a certain vision into the numinous mystery. Like there's something that's being revealed to you through tapping into some arcane knowledge here, right? You're solving a mundane problem in an otherworldly way. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Nucleation. That keeps coming in. So what you need to do is create a refuge, like a sanctuary. It's like weaving a world around the seed of your vision, the seed of your dream. So it will be hidden from mortals. You need to ward it in this way. There's some strategy you're employing here to almost like create some kind of protective force. You recognize that's what's been missing. That's why there can't be the crystallization of the seed. What you put in motion here, this bit of magic that you're weaving, something you're calling into being here. You need to mock up. It's like mocking up a sanctuary for this seed, what you're wanting to bring into being here. Because only then is that going to be hidden from those who seek to claim it. I think that's like how the concealment's coming through. It's like you're meant to rise to the surface, right? Like you're meant to be seen. You're meant to be active right now. You're not really meant to be submerged, hidden. Your light does need to come forward. But what you need to put the like warding around is this inspiration you got. So thoughts are things. This inspiration that's come in, it's important to view it as like the golden egg, you could say. So create the nest around it. Create the tree that has the bowers that come down and shelter that. You know, there's something here. I don't know. Maybe even call in a particular fetch. Maybe you're going to feel drawn to, it's coming in really strongly. I don't know why, but I got like raptor energy. Raptor energy. It could also be coming, raptor energy. And I mean, you can take that all the way back to the dawn of time, but it also makes me think of, you know, falcons, eagles, you know, raptor energy. You might even start working with a totem energy that helps you ward this as well. That might be something that comes in for you. This feels like this is really important. You might be getting some kind of education in how to do this. There might be something that's starting to stir in you, or you might be having these energies coming in. But you need to protect this, because this seed is your power. So there's something you need to master here in your alchemy to be able to protect this. It's like you've been protecting the wrong thing. You've been warding the wrong thing. You've been concealing the wrong thing. You're not meant to be concealed. It's what is germinating here that needs the sanctuary created around it. This is what creates safe passage to activate the Stone of Destiny. Okay. What's at stake for Sagittarius's party that's going to join them on this campaign? Well, there's a lot coming out here. Okay, something's getting thrown away there. Something's getting tossed aside. Something's getting pushed over the cliff. Ooh, okay. Basis of the matter, 9 of Swords. Yeah, you know what's causing you trouble here. You know what the fly in the ointment is. You got your sights set on it. I see that. There's a great battle and war ahead in relation to this energy, and there's been something that's been raging on for far too long. I mean, it's got a timeless quality to it. It feels like this battle has been raging on since the dawn of time. It's caused something to putrefy here, and you're about to send it over the cliff. What is this? It fell all the way down here. Let me see what this is. King of Swords. Whoo! Very decisively cutting something off. The air is merging with the fire here. Firing off the spear of Lu. Bringing down the lightning. Brings victory. Grants victory and protection from lightning. This has been cast away. Something got sent over the cliff that shouldn't have been cast away. Your fire. So did air get casted over the cliff? And you actually need it. You need it. It's like the teaming of energy. You need it to be protected from lightning to bring about victory. This is why victory's eluded. Interesting. And what do we got here? Queen of Cups. What's crossing here? The Wheel of Fortune. So what's preventing the transformation? Because the transformation's not here. Metatron says, thou shalt not pass. There's a passage here that's tricky, but something got thrown over the cliff that's actually essential to be able to cross over this pass. That's what I see. It's what's holding redemption at bay. That's what's at stake. Redemption's at stake. The path of heart's at stake. In order to advance and progress, there's something you need to learn here, and you need to look back into the book of life to get a clue about this. Something will be illuminated for you, but only after you recover what got cast over the cliff. Something was done in a very rash way. Something very essential was thrown away. And now it's threatening to spoil the whole journey here. So that's what's at stake. You need to reclaim that. You need to reclaim the air. You need to reclaim the sword of truth. Fragarok. Maybe you pointed the tip in the wrong direction. You pointed the tip in the wrong direction, you know. It did not provide the answers you needed. And where the answers lie is what got cast aside. You need to reclaim that, right? So there's a little bit of a rescue mission here, see, in order for the party to be able to move forward. Okay, what's at stake for the new world? Sagittarius wants to weave into being. You don't have the vehicle you need, clearly. I mean, it's so clear right here. Chariot in reverse, Metatron, who brings about the vehicle of the Merkaba. You know, you do not have the vehicle to be able to move forward yet because something essential was cast aside. You're on a rescue mission for this to retrieve it. The key, remember? You got a floppy key. You don't have the key that opens up the vault right now. You need to reclaim it. But that requires that you get the answers you need. You had Fragarok. You had the answer in your hands, but you pointed it. You pointed it in the wrong direction, so the answers you got were distorted. Why? Because they were connected to this Apophis energy that wants to steal your son. So now the one that you threw over the cliff, that's the one you need to rescue because they have the key you need. Oh, Lordy. Goodness gracious. What's going to happen now? The plot thickens. Okay, so what's at stake for the new world? Sagittarius wants to weave into being. Ooh, I like that this comes out a little light on the other side of crossing that divide. Something saved at the last minute there. Saved by my saved by my arm. I saw it. Wanted to go over the edge again. What is that? The Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords. You need the sword. Queen of Swords almost got thrown over again. There's a force here that's trying to push away the first treasure of the Tuath Tadanen. They're trying to push away Fragarok, the answerer. There's somebody here who's telling you they have this, I went to say they have the truth you need. But instead, what wanted to come out was the stories. Somebody tells stories. They tell stories, and it's something that keeps pushing, attempting to push this Queen of Swords energy off the ledge. And yet, if you directed the tip of Fragarok at the Queen of Swords, she would increase your intelligence. And she would help you transform into a bird so you could fly. Isn't that wild? Because that piece came in. I'm not making it up. It says, has the ability to transform a person into a bird. Remember, you need protection. I brought in the raptor energy, man. Brought in the raptor energy there. Yeah, look at that. See the peacock feathers there? They have eyes of protection on them. And there's some horsepower there too. You see? Somebody may be spinning tales about this one's answers that you need to prevent you from seeking the answers. Trying to cast a glamour. Oh, this person is full of it. They're in their ego. They're, you know, they're vain. They're just all about themselves. They're too showy. I don't know what this is. There's something here, though, where this person's had a lot of energy directed at them. Because I see the protection up, watchful eyes. That's what makes me think of Seraphim energy. The Seraphim ward this one. Look at this. 8 of Pentacles. So nothing will work. Nothing will materialize. It came in reverse. So yeah, this is like search and rescue. And that's what I see. Search and rescue. Because there's a joining of forces with the very elements, objectives, traveling companions, advisors, that is actually keeping you from the great work. It is. This will not materialize like this. Yeah. There's no intelligence there. It doesn't provide knowledge with what you need. It does not. Absolutely not. It's in reverse. And so you never make it to the end of what's been a long race, you know? A race to some finish line that you were promised a long time ago. You never get there. You never get to break through that tape. You never get to arrive because it's joining forces with the wrong sources, man. This is not wise. Whatever you're joining forces with here, whatever you've been teamed up with here that, you know, has been part of promising you, you know, some kind of success that rises up out of working with this person. This person is not intelligent. This person doesn't have any real talent. And this person doesn't have knowledge of what they're even talking about. There's something here it's a bad cover version. That's what I got. It's a bad cover version. You got to figure out what that is. It could be a path you've chosen. It's a bad cover version of the path you really want to be walking. You know, you thought, well, this will do. This will keep everybody happy, and you're miserable. You know, it's not your path of purpose. It's taking you away from your purpose, and you push something over a cliff that is your path of purpose. And now you need search and rescue. Otherwise, nothing's going to work. You can keep trying to throw things at it. It won't work. If you're an alchemist, you can keep trying to do, you know, one casting after another. Nothing will work. It won't work. It's blocked. It's blocked because the essential element's missing. So that's what's at stake for this new world you want to weave into being. You got to get engaged with this, and you got to retrieve this key that you need, that was cast away through some kind of guidance that was given to you by another who claimed to know what was up, and they don't know nothing here. They don't. It's very clear. This person's a shapeshifter, and they got their own designs. You need to be aware of it. Slippery character here. Slippery character here. Okay, well, if Sagittarius gets to it and they get focused, and I think you already know what this is. I think there's something you've been studying here. You submerged yourself in it. You know where the light is. What's the cookie? What is the sweet reward for Sag if they actually do what needs to be done here? And if they finally cut off what is the interfering element here, if they exercise their emotional intelligence and they reclaim Fragarok, their truth, and then they point the tip of that sword at the correct one to get the answers they need. What is the cookie? What is the sweet reward for Sagittarius? What is the cookie? What is the sweet reward for Sagittarius? Oh, wow. Whoa, that is such a confirmation. The way that came through. Oh my gosh. I got to show it exactly as it landed, okay? It landed on top of this card. You got to see this. Uriel with the tower landed on top of this character. Once you have the truth from getting the answers from the right source, you will bring a tower down on this character. You will have the knowledge you need. Look, see, that sword is on fire. The air merges with the fire. It brings about the spear of Lu, the precision point. With Uriel on the scene, I have to say, there could be some malevolent sorcery at play in this situation. Somebody has been doing something they shouldn't be doing, and there are receipts because Uriel provides protection against such things. And there's like a warning being issued here. It's letting you know, Uriel is telling you, there is going to be disruption. There is going to be disaster unless you transform this energy, unless you bring down a tower on this energy and you cut this off, whatever this tricky influence is. You know what it is. If you don't, it's going to be revealed to you. And when it's revealed to you, you better act on it. Because if you don't, it's going to prevent you from receiving your reward. And what comes up in reverse right here? 7 of Cups in reverse. Time is about to run out on this. Like, this is a pressing matter here, whatever this is. There's a window of time. There's a window of time on executing this. Something needs to be moved into motion here. Very, very essential. Very essential. There's been a lot of illusion, a lot of glamour, a lot of confusion, lack of clarity in a situation, but you're about to see the truth of the situation here. It's like the fog is going to start to clear. Somebody made a false judgment back here, and it's caused one to lose a lot of time. That's why there needs to be moving into action at this point. Contemplation has been utilized in excess. You've contemplated something for far too long. It's causing the creative energy to stagnate. And also, the truth hasn't been brought forward here. And in relation to that, legal proceedings could be underway. And they may not go as desired for some people involved in a situation. I feel like that's also really just coming through in spiritual court. Unless, of course, you are somebody who is dealing with a legal situation currently. There could be something you're too compromising with that's actually going to cost you big time. You need to cut it off before it ends up getting you caught up with it. Okay? There's something here, there's a truth that needs to be known to protect oneself. And time is just about up on that. So this needs to be uncovered. It's really important. Because it's this truth that sets you free. And there is a piece coming through about like legalities. So only if you know that you're currently like embroiled in a legal situation, you know where you need the truth. You know where you need to seek for the truth. Because somebody here has led you astray in such a way that's compromising you, okay? And you need to look into that. Especially in relation to a work matter, okay? If you've been working with somebody on something financially, things have been moved around. Things feel like something's been concealed. You know, you don't have all the answers. You need to look into this. And time is just about up. See, because once you get the cookie, then you finally can move forward armed with the truth, right? The cookie is being armed with the truth that actually allows you to advance toward what your heart wants to be drawn toward here. It's something that will bring you comfort and consolation and protection from this enemy. This enemy, that is the cookie for you. The cookie in addressing this is that you're going to get the answers you need. You're going to get the truth that you need that's going to comfort you. And it's going to be the very thing that ends up covering you and protecting you from something that's brewing right now, that's compromising, that you do need to be aware of. Look, it's the freaking flying monkey, man. It's that freaking flying monkey. They are preventing this with the Three of Wands. They're preventing what you want to call into your heart space. There's a lot concealed about things that have caused your heart's desires to pass you by in the past, in the present, and if you don't act, your future too. And this energy is tricky, man, because it can feel like a loving energy. It has that ability to sort of wear a disguise, almost like cloaking itself with another energy signature that can make you too familiar with it. It's like you've become intimate with an enemy. You've let something that works against you too much into your space. And it's really important that you figure this out, man. It is so important, because once you get the answers you really do need from the right source, you're going to have comfort and consolation and protection from this force that wants to try to keep you from stepping into the sun. And I feel like if you do this, it's the start of breaking a cycle. Breaking a cycle that's been in play for lifetimes. All right, what's the target? What's the target you should be aiming for, Sagittarius? That came out quick. What is the target Sagittarius needs to be aiming for? It's funny how it landed right on top of that Seven of Cups in reverse that is like pointing out like time's about to run out. So something's moving out of the crossroads here. It's about to move into action. That's your target. King of Swords. Look at that. Wow. Wow. It comes back around again. You need to recover the air here, man. You need to recover the truth. You need to recover truth. I mean, I like this. This is all you should be focused on right now. You need to recover the truth. You need to get the right answers that you need. And then you need to act on it very decisively, because this is what's going to bring you victory. And that's your whole focus at this time. The air needs to team with the fire. You need to act on the truth too. You can't just sit on it, you know? You can't just ponder it and continue to sort of like let it, you know, tell you stories. You got to actually set it in motion here. That's what brings you victory. Grants you victory, and it will protect you from this tower. It will protect you from this tower. So the key you need is put in your hands, but it does involve you acting on the truth. If you know the truth and you don't act on it, then that's subject to change. Yeah, there's something you need to learn here. And there could be a Taurus that's connected to this, or it could be something that has to do with your resources, your finances, and where you place your value. Maybe your value in the answers you receive, or the guidance you receive, or Taurus energy coming in here. Anything else that wants to come in around this for Sagittarius? I got a bunch coming out now. Bottom of the deck, Knight of Swords. Do you see? It's all coming in with the air energy. It's all coming in with the air. There's something here you need to recover. It's something you cast aside. It's something that when you cast this aside, you cast aside truth. You cast aside all the answers you need. And once you align with this, it gives you that momentum you need to actually move into action and progress. It destroys and burns all enemies when requested. It's like The teaming of these forces is what transforms what's held you back. And it speaks of the creation of the world, tells of the past and future. So you want the world to turn. You want to see that dream, that vision come to pass in your material reality. You want to arrive at the hope of the star. There's something here. You need to move forward in integrity. It may be a bit of moving into the unknown and maybe admitting, I'm not quite sure that I have all the answers, but knowing exactly where you need to go to get the answers you seek. And for some reason, there's been a certain kind of campaign run to dissuade you from moving in that direction, because once you have that truth, it is what sets you free. And there's a need to move in that direction for sure, because that's what's going to destroy what's been blocking you, what's been working against you. Let me see how this transforms. King of Cups in reverse. Wow. So there's no avenue in this direction that you've been pouring into. You've been pouring into a particular direction that won't yield anything. It's a manipulation. The cup spilled out. There's no restitution in what you're currently aligned with. There's something that's been stolen here. And it's like you're fraternizing with the thief. That's how it's coming through. You're fraternizing with the thief. Not recognizing that it's also stealing your own fortune, man. And it's like you're under this haze. You're not recognizing that that's what's going on here. That's what it says. You haven't discovered the person who's responsible. You may think that you've discovered the person responsible, and you actually threw the person over the cliff that has the answers you need, or the element. Or you kind of wave something off like, oh, that's nothing, that's insignificant. No, you need that. That's the key you need. Something's coming in that's going to make this very clear, though. I feel like that's what's happening here. And it's sort of like you're being put to a test. Once you have the truth, once you have the answers you need, do you just sit there out of complacency because of the fear of what it means to actually have to set that new knowledge in motion? Or do you actually have the courage, to head in the direction you need to go, even though it may bring challenges along the way? It's a test. It's a test of your persistence and your resolve. And time is running out to make the decision. So I know that what's happening here is this moment of crystallization when the truth becomes clear and you need to act. It's coming very soon. And I don't think you're going to be given like a lot of leeway in terms of how long you have to ponder on this. You're going to have to make a call. You're going to have to make a judgment call here. We got here, Queen of Pentacles. But if you make a judgment call, there is something you alchemize here. It will make you wise. You will learn everything once you direct your attention, your focus in this place of orientation. And it turns any metal into gold. It transforms water into wine. See, you alchemize something here. You alchemize something here. You get the treasure. The transformation comes through. It requires you to really understand what's of true worth, what's of true value, and not making compromises with what isn't. Not accepting a bad cover version of something, but actually going to the authentic source. Interesting. It does have you protecting something here, though. I see you get the shield, and I think of the shield, and I think of Michael, right? Michael comes on board. The chariot will come in. The chariot will come in once you act on the illumination, I do think you will persevere in this. Let me go ahead and do a cut of the deck. to cap this off. What do the fates say for Sagittarius here? The moon. See, something is concealed under the moon right now. You're starting to move through this territory. I'm telling you, you got the swarm on your tail. They're trying to prevent that chariot from getting into Ragnarok here. And they make manifest the apparitions of demons, and they set those demons upon men to destroy them with vices. Remember, this person feels like they can cater to your ego. That's how they feel they can sort of like cut off your head, so to speak, make you not tap into your true acumen that you hold. Sagittarians are very sharp. They're very sharp. They're quite intelligent. But there's somebody here that feels like if they can ply you with false flattery, if they can feed into your weaknesses, your vices, then they can make you act in a way where you behave without your usual clarity of discernment. And that's what can conceal you. That's what can conceal you from seeing the path of victory here. So be aware of this. Be aware of this. Someone who's catering to your ego. Somebody who is telling you exactly what you want to hear. Somebody who is operating in a way where you know there's more to the story. There's something concealed here. This is an initiation. We got on the other side. Judgment. But you know what? I think you will execute sound judgment here. And it does have you retaining not only your sword of truth, but also the miraculous chalice. And with that, we do have the moment of as above, so below, the great work. Something comes into alignment. And there's an atonement for errors. There's like a recognition, okay, I should have done that back there, not this. But instead of just sitting with that, once you know the truth, you actually act on it. And this is what makes all things right. And ultimately, you overcome because it destroys the power of enemies. It doesn't just destroy them, it humiliates them as well. Oof. Spicy. It does have a little bit of like a Game of Thrones kind of vibe to it, though. This is not like some mild territory you're moving through. Your storyline is not based off of pablum to appease the masses. There's definitely something coming in with an edge, a little fire here. It's a little sharp. There's intensity to it. But there's also like victory. Victory hard earned. If you act on what you know is true. And also it's sort of like making the admission to yourself as well. Like, okay, I shouldn't have done that back there. I need that. I need to retrieve that. So it is interesting. It is interesting because like I could see too how that could be like there could be somebody whispering in your ear like, well, if you do that, don't you see? You're going to look like a fool, you know, or they're going to make an example out of you. Like somebody could be feeding into the fear of a course correction. But if you buy into that, that's the very thing that will lead to the tower. And I see that you got quite a gift coming your way. And that gift is the knowledge you need and the answers you need, the power you need, and the right alignment with the appropriate ally you need to overthrow what would like to take down all you've built here. It's spicy. But I think you can handle the heat. Godspeed.